Raider Nation, stand up. Raider Nation, please stand up. The Cover 3D Raider podcast is here. Dwayne Douglas here along with Sean Oahu, Raider, and Monster Mash Ken. Gentlemen, it's been a while. How you doing today?
Feeling good, man. Good to see your faces. Missed you guys. I like watching football without having to worry about anything. Even though it sucks, we should be in the playoffs here, still going to the Super Bowl, but it is what it is. How you doing, Sean?
No, well, thanks. Great. Lots to talk about, and a lot of the dominoes fell. So let's get into it.
It did. Let's talk about real quick. The end of the season. What was your takeaways from the season itself, and then we can go to the two gentlemen who are standing behind me.
Man, the season's so crazy. Like I can't remember a crazier season with everything that's happened. One thing that I'm going to take away from is I've always supported Derek Carr. Like I've always been on that Carr train. I wouldn't call myself like a stan or anything like that. I've just liked him, but this season kind of like made me feel like it's time to move on. I'm watching all these young quarterbacks make some plays and just get it. Like Joe Burrow, like I liked him coming out of LSU. I liked what's his face out of the Chargers there, Herbert. I really like Herbert. Yeah, coming out of Oregon. And I just feel like that's the future of these franchises. And Derek Carr's been so polarizing, and he had the opportunity to win this game. And I don't know if you guys talked about Cincinnati the last show or whatnot, but I mean that was his opportunity, and it just couldn't do it. And I feel like it could have went on a run there. I don't know if they would have beat Kansas City, but overall, it's a winning season. I'll take that. I think that I'm very happy about Renfro getting some popularity there, as do. I thought that given the fact that Derek Carr didn't have a true wideout going to it, and what's his face Waller was out most of the season, and the offensive line issues and Gruden issues, Ruggs issues. Derek Carr had a stellar season for his his counts, except for the turnovers, which will is something that hopefully he can correct. It doesn't look like he will, but I kind of want to move on from Derek Carr. Unfortunately, I'd like to see what we'll get into that. I'm sure what McDaniels can do with it, but overall, exciting season, fun season, 10-7,
10-8.
Can't 10-8. Oh, yep. Forgot about the extra game there. So yeah, what did you think, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I thought of course, everything that happened, I'm trying to extract the emotion out of it because that emotion's gone. That season's over. Bisaccia is gone. The locker room, it created a nice cohesion and things, but I think overall, just getting to play in a road playoff game atmosphere hyped up the fan base and the people in that locker room to come back working harder in this offseason, albeit under a new regime, front, top to bottom. The Bengals game, hey, they had a shot. They competed more than kind of what most people thought. And patchwork roster. And unfortunately, that game ended on a terrible interception. I think it was a bad play call from Olsen and a terrible throw from Carr. And it was frustrating because I kind of felt like, hey, we've won all these overtime games. If we just put it in here, we go to overtime. Like Carlson's kicking the game winner. So a little deflating. Overall, I thought the season was a success on paper. I do think when I look at it, a lot of it, and I hate to say this, but if you really look at the quality wins, who and what we played, it's not overly impressive. We could have easily been a 5-win team if we didn't squeak out those overtime miraculous things. I get it. That's the nature of the NFL, but it really doesn't. I don't think you look at this team and think of them as you probably look at them as the worst playoff team in the AFC, even though they were 5th seed. But I'm just excited to build upon it and just as Dwayne said, talk about the two guys behind him. And really just kind of, we're seeing a staff formulate, but I just want to see the personnel moves is what's going to make me curious.
Yeah. I picked them to go 11-6. So there was one game under where I thought they'd
Very
be
good.
I think it was because on my other podcast, Ryan Holmes went to the Rams scrimmage with the Raiders and Rams and just saw the way they were able to compete with the Rams. And I thought that from that until I thought they'd be a pretty good team. I thought it was a good season. I think a lot of the games where they had substantial leads or lost games like to the Bears and the Red and the was it Commandos? Is that what they're now? Is that what they are now?
Commanders,
Commanders, whatever. Commanders. The Commanders and the
Wild.
and who was in the Giants. Those losses loom pretty big, but I think also this team you learn how to finish, and I think this is what you hope that the next coaching staff can build upon, because a lot of those games they had leads, they let them go, and they went to overtime. Like what I mean. So I do feel like I have to say that's part of it. They do have. I mean, they did have these first halves where they did nothing. And the defense held the opponent to anywhere between 7 or 0 points and a half, and I'm like, that's pretty good defense. As far as that goes, we won't see a continuation of that because I don't think they're going to keep Gus Bradley, which is fine. I understand why they don't keep Gus Bradley. I understand it, but I mean, I do think that they can build upon it and they can make it the next step. We'll talk about it in the next segment when I talk about Josh McDaniels. I just don't think he's coming if he's not coming to work with Derek for at least 2022. I don't think he's, because his last stop was in Denver. It wasn't a really good one, 11-17. Then
Cutler to Tebow, right?
Cutler to Tebow, which was he talked about in the he talked about in interviews that was one of the biggest mistakes he made was to get rid of Cutler so quickly. Then he went to St. Louis, didn't even finish the season, and then went back home to Belichick, and then got a job, looked like going to be working with the Colts, and said deuces on that job. So, but I do think, after 12 years, it's been 12 years. So, people can change. I'm not the same person I was 12 years ago. So I think we just have to hope that he is a different person there. So as we go into that, it wasn't my first choice. I don't think anybody here was their first choice, but what are your thoughts about Ken's first? Why don't you go first, Ken? What are your thoughts about this Josh McDaniels being hired as the Raiders, the New England Raiders head coach?
You brought up something that I was going to touch on and lead into that was as who he is as a person now compared to 12 years ago. And it's a really good point because we're all different from 12 years ago. Fun fact, I moved to New York from LA 12 years ago, and I'm definitely a different person now. And I think I watched that presser twice. I watched it twice, and I love the fact that he admitted that some things that not a lot of people would admit. You try to sell yourself and make yourself look really good, but he said, I knew people. I took on a lot of responsibility that he just wasn't ready for, and you're young and you're getting thrown this great promotion and you're in charge of a team, and he recognized that. So obviously when you're working with the greatest player to ever play the sport and Tom Brady, it makes me want to throw up saying that, but we got to give credit where credit is due. You work behind him and one of the best coaches, if not the best coach ever in Bill Belichick. And then one of the most best ran not just an NFL, but sports organizations. He's part of that system. And now he's the Raiders coach. Yeah, I'm excited. I am excited because you look at the woes that we had when Gruden left. It was offense. We could not score any points. We had no red zone. We had nothing. And he brings that to the table. Sean, you mentioned you're curious to see what the personnel moves are. I'm really curious about the defensive coordinator. If they don't keep Rue, I'm going to throw one for you. Skinny Paul Gunther, and he calls him Skinny Paul Gunther. If they don't keep him, who's going to be the defensive coordinator? There's a lot of good names out there. I'm reading into it. There's some really good names out there, and I think if Ziegler, I hope he does well and he brings in the right person and recognizes, the defense took a huge leap forward this season, huge leap forward. Let's continue that momentum and let's get the right personnel in there. And but as far as McDaniels goes, as a head coach, I'm all in. I really am. I think that it's going to be good for the organization, and I have a good feeling about it. Sean, what about you?
No, yeah, I think Harbaugh was early the biggest name recognition. I was attached to the fact that he's produced and won everywhere he's been. I like that. I like that he wore a Raider uniform as his first ever attempt in the coaching sphere of the NFL. I thought there were good connections there. I thought that would be a big bang splash credible hire. However, in my mind, I never would have thought Harbaugh would give us more than 3 or 4 years. He'd get his bag, he'd come in, make money, he'd maybe get us in the playoffs, 2 of the 3 or 3 of the 4 years, and he just will go to his next gig, which is kind of what his career path has been. Now, looking at it this way, seeing the methodical moves in the front office that have all transpired due to the hiring of McDaniels, this is like a partnership organizational build, as opposed to Gruden came in with Reggie McKenzie 1 year, then Mayock, this is a great fit. And they were, nothing was run in a regular organizational, methodical, calculated method. It was just, we're the big egos, we're the power. This I see as you bring in McDaniels, Ziegler, and a lot of the other front office moves that are going in place today even. I think what you have there is something that could be an 8-year head coach, an 8-year G, a really long stretch of security and building things the right way. What I do like is people that take the emotion out of everything, right? I'm glad that McDaniel said he likes the commitment to excellence. He loves the stadium. He's walked around the history. We've all known that. We've known that, but for 20 years, we've known that, and the team has been terrible. So it's about someone that comes in and takes the emotion out of personnel moves, takes the emotion out of staffing hires, takes the emotion out. No, don't keep Bisaccia because he did a great job. No, he's not a part of your future plans. He's gone. I'm glad that didn't happen. And I think that's what Dwayne was kind of hitting on. I think that's what will happen with Carr. They'll come in. They know they have a talented quarterback that's been around for a while. We're basically praying for that Matt Ryan 2016 Super Bowl and MVP season at a Carr. Let's just be honest. We know his ceiling. He's going to throw for 4,000. He's going to have a very high completion percentage, and he's going to be very underwhelming physically with extending plays and doing things. He'll do a few here and there, but we kind of know what we have with him. So I think that's great. I think you have someone that knows, like McDaniels is a guy almost in a different light than Harbaugh, but McDaniels will get anything out of a quarterback. He's worked with all Stidhams and all Matt Castles, and he knows how to get them to produce. So to him and Ziegler, they know. And look at Mac Jones last year. Like, let's just be honest. If Carr wants an extension on the table this offseason, that's not going to happen, because McDaniels is like, I can get 10 wins out of Gardner Minshew. I can trade for, I can get 10 wins out of he can. So I think that changes the dynamic of not just Carr, but other personnel that we have, is not settling, not just saying this is our name, we're going to overly devote to them. So I think it just opens the door to just innovation and good, solid, sound football management. And I think that helps when you have an owner like Mark Davis, who puts so much emotion in everything. Now he's got little scientists working underneath him rather than these big media moguls that just never seem to transpire into success. So not my favorite pick, but I think it is, if I'm going to have to be honest, I have to give Mark Davis credit. I think it's the most logical and practical pick he could have made with who had come to the table.
Yeah, I mean, for me with this whole thing is like they have a history of the Belichick tree is not done well. And when they do well, they go to Miami and they get fired. So even though they have back-to-back winning seasons.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, I do like the one thing that I do like about this hire is the game plan from week to week. You're talking about a week-to-week game plan. It's not going to be, we're going to run these four running plays, and that's what Greg Olsen is going to do and all that stuff like that. They literally have a game plan for every week. There might be a game plan against one opponent where Carr throws the ball 40 times. There might be a game against the next team where he throws 16 times. But they always have something really good going on. I think this is kind of like a culmination of his best season as a head coach. As an offensive coordinator. Because Mac Jones helped that team get to the playoffs. I think Mac Jones at his height will be kind of like Chad Pennington in my mind. I don't think he'll be any higher than that, but Chad Pennington when he was healthy, he made the playoffs a lot of different years. So that's all they need. So I think that they are going to go through this roster. They're going to kind of, I do like how Ziegler when somebody said something about the playoffs last year, he looked like he was like, dude, that's expected. The playoffs to Ziegler looked like his face looked like that's the expectation.
Right.
Like
Not the yeah.
that's not the end result. Like we're trying for a little bit of the of a higher level of the result. I think this is an offense that Carr could really do good in. I think that's where people who don't want him to be around anymore, I'm like, you better hope he gets traded, because this is an offense that he's probably going to do well in. Waller is going to eat. We saw Aaron Hernandez. We saw Gronk. We saw Hunter Henry this year. He's going to eat in this offense. How many years have we seen Wes Welker and Julian Edelman? Ken's boy, Hunter Renfro is going to be is going to eat in this offense too. So maybe they get maybe they get a deep threat, a DJ Chalk, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Somebody who could help that part of it at a bargain price. Because you know how they kind of penny pinch out there in New England, but they'll fix the offensive line, they'll do the defensive tackle thing, free safeties, safety alongside of Moreg is going to be a spot too as well. But interesting to see what they do as far as that goes. But I do think in retrospect, I mean, the only thing I don't like about this was seems like it was Mark Davis again, just finding a guy and latching onto that guy.
Yep.
It wasn't a real search, and I think we have been enlightened over the last 24 hours about whether or not it's a real search or a fake search. And this wasn't a real search. This is the guy he really wanted the whole time. Yep. And I wish he was a little bit more open-minded about possible other candidates, because there's a lot of talented candidates out here, but I understand the whole thing about the package deal makes sense. But, Ken, as far as like Mark not really having a true search, this was kind of like Gruden 2.0, right? And Del Rio 2.0.
Sorry. This whole thing coming out with what was it, Rooney Rule and making sure that we're interviewing everybody. I feel like it's like Groundhog Day, and today is Groundhog Day. With the Gruden thing, he had his man, and he knew who it was, and it's hard to shy away from the Belichick tree, as you put it. I don't know what the conversation was, if there even was a conversation with any other head coaches that were being considered. I can tell you this: I'm glad they didn't go with Bisaccia. I just didn't feel like he was. I just didn't feel it, And
he's not the guy. He's not the guy.
No, I mean, I just didn't think. I mean, he seemed like a great guy. Obviously, the team was behind him, but it just was not. My dog is playing in the background. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
So I just feel like what other candidates were there that could have, I'm just going to pull somebody from the college ranks. I mean, Harbaugh, I thought was a pipe dream. Sounded great. Sounded like an amazing thing. Refreshing my Twitter just to see if anything happened. But I started to slowly think this isn't happened yet. It's not going to happen. So I don't know who else was in the running. I just know that he had his mind made up, and it sounded like it was a package deal with Ziegler.
Yeah, I think that's dangerous. I think it is. I like the hire and the staff, but at the same time, it's Mark just red carpet. Oh, you come in, you pick your GM, you pick your staff.
You and your boy.
So here's the thing. I mean, like, there's rumors of Dodds at GM, who I was very excited about. You're basically like, okay, because I want you, I'm letting you take over the power of my organization below me and entrusting in you to do so. That's a lot to offer to somebody who had his proven head coach track record is not good. And a small sample size, and leaving the Colts at the altar. I mean, there's just some strange things. So
this is his third opportunity. This is not the second one.
So you have to think, with him seeing the bag thrown at Gruden, who was just in the media for over a decade doing nothing, absolutely so desperate that he fires Jack Del Rio, who gave the best winning season we've had in the last 20 years, to bring in Gruden and give him organizational power, let him, Reggie McKenzie gone, Mayock, that's the fit. I mean, I think this is a top to bottom better organization, front office to head coaching, but it's still Mark catering to one person. I mean, it's still him taking the risk on. And Josh McDaniels might see this as, I haven't seen the details on what he's getting paid, but he's like, I can come here and I can grab the bag. And if this doesn't work out, I can, be an OC again. I don't know, but it's a little worrisome in that regard. I'm just hoping, that Mark Davis has people around him. It's just worrisome. You see things come out that Marcel Reese has an influence on Mark Davis. And I'm like, look, yeah, former Raiders, former people that wore the colors. I like it, but it's like, come on, man. Reese is not a mastermind of he has some random job. I don't even know what he does for the Raiders, but it's like, it's a little, when you see those things, you kind of perplexed. You're like, really? Like, hire a consulting firm to come in, say, I don't know what I'm doing. Look at these guys I'm interviewing, come back, give me a report of what I just saw and did. Instead, it's just, oh, Josh, you want to do this? Okay, well, I really like you. I'll let you pick the jobs I should have big power management picking. I mean, I wouldn't do that in my own personal business. So it's just a little sketchy, but
it is interesting how in this league, with the head coaching, that experience in a lot of cases is a bad thing. Like the fact that in recent memory, Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback,
Nick Foles,
against Belichick, and Belichick couldn't stop him because they almost scored 40 points in the game, is like basically kind of begging just for interviews. It's absolutely amazing to me. As far as that goes. I think I listen to one podcast and it says, Ziegler basically is getting the job because of McDaniels. I listened to another reporter who says, Ziegler is a quality guy who would have gotten a job. He has put in work. He's been a coach. He's been he's been in personnel for a long period of time. So the experience by both of them are there for years and years to come. You do need some, ability to work together, but I do like a little bit of the little fight a little bit. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I know they say they're going to fight on certain things, but if Mayock wanted somebody and John and John wanted somebody, like who's going to get drafted? And I think this is kind of the same thing. Like, I mean, it happened in San Francisco too. Like if John Lynch wants somebody and Shanahan wants somebody, they're going to pick who Shanahan wants. Like, I mean, it's just simple as that.
Yeah, that opens the doors for personnel mistakes. I mean, let's just be honest. The biggest Achilles heel in the Raiders being a winning team last year and a 500 team the year before is that with our gaps on what hurt us on the team, if our draft picks had hit at a more prominent rate and our free agencies, let's talk about like Corey Littleton's and the LaMarcus Joyners of the world. And it's like, we would have been a Super Bowl caliber AFC competitor had we nailed even just half of those picks. I firmly believe that. Yeah, KC probably still would have won the division. We would have been a good wild card team, credible to beat anybody. And that's what I'm looking at right now. It's personnel. The staff can be great. The front office can be great, but you need great players on the field. And we are lucky we even had a Denzel Perryman trade this year. We're lucky Casey Hayward came because of Gus Bradley. We're lucky Yannick we threw the money at him. He's been at a bunch of teams, whatever. But like some of the things that have worked out are facing. Come on, man. Like that guy played his ass off for a nobody at corner.
Hard, yeah,
and we lost Mullen and Arnett. That's another. But, all these things came together. And it's just, if you have the right personnel mindset and building the organization and team, it wouldn't have mattered. We would have been a much better team. So in scope, that's just all I'm hoping for, is they let the players come to the forefront of what they want to do. But I don't know, man. There's a draft coming up. I believe the Raiders pick in the 20s.
22.
22. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's, what do you do there? You just drafted a right tackle in the first round that can barely play guard and jumps off sides every time he's in the red zone. So it's like, I think I'll let you guys, I'll propose this as a question to you guys. I heavily think those 5 first rounders, I think only one could be potentially be on the roster starting the first game next year. And that one might be Josh Jacobs, but I think the rest could be gone.
Yeah.
Wow. That's I mean,
Abram, what
Mullen will probably play though, I think.
He's
No,
a
Mullen
second
was
rounder, but
he's
still
second, yeah.
he could be gone. I don't know.
Because of the cap hit, some of those guys might still be there because of their under rookie deals.
Maybe, but these guys know how to find gems, right? I mean, there's
Do
lacrosse
they?
players getting 1,000-yard wide receiver seasons and Patriots. Come on, man. Julian Edelman was an option quarterback. I mean, they've seen they know what they're looking for. This is different. I just don't think. I don't know. Man, that's how I feel.
As a bold prediction, but it's not entirely like out of the pocket there. I mean, Abram plays pretty reckless. He's flashes of decency. I just don't think any of them have lived up to first round tender.
And Arnett, I'm sorry, it's a bad argument because Arnett and Ruggs are already gone. But Cleveland Farrell, and then you piece there to Josh Jacobs. Patriots. I mean,
Jacobs
running back.
Jacobs can play. Yeah.
Jacobs
can play.
Jacobs the last 3 weeks played really good football. And was hurt too, so I give him credit for that. But then again, he's always hurt, and that's going to be an issue as well. I think you can see them getting out, and maybe you're going to see some more. You're going to see some more competition and running back because they like big backs.
Right.
And they had a couple of running backs there last year who did a good job there. You can see a starting cornerback like JC I forgot his last name.
JC Horn?
No, JC they had a cornerback for
he's talking about in New England.
For New England if he doesn't get franchised or whatever. But they're gonna. I mean, listen. I think the Patriots have not drafted well over the last 10 years. And that's why they went all in and spent almost $1 billion in free agency this year. So we'll see. We'll just see what happens as far as this goes. I mean, they usually don't sign deals they can't get out of. So
yes.
so even if they sign somebody, they can get out of it. If they have to, if the guy doesn't like, I don't see Nelson Aguilar staying with the Patriots. I mean, I can see Kendrick Bourne staying with the Patriots. You know, I was in a Spaces the other day, and a good friend of Kendrick Bourne said, the Patriots said that he really truly enjoyed playing with Josh McDaniels. He really feels like he's really going to be a good coach for the Raiders. So we'll see. Take it at face value, see what happens as far as that goes. And Ziegler, listen, that first draft is going to be, it's going to be in your backyard. People are going to be like drinking all night, waiting for that number 22 pick. About 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and they're gonna want to see a really good player. And I think everybody knows. I know Phil Jones is out there in the Senior Bowl. Malik is out there. Homie Malik is out there, Senior Bowl. All the folks are out there. And they're talking about the Raiders are really, they're on tackles, they're on defensive tackles, they're on left tackle, right tackle. So they're trying to remake this team in their image, and part of it is not really going out there and trying to get a fancy wide receiver like a Devontae Adams, which is stupid Raider Nation, because we don't have the cap room to do it.
Not going to happen.
And if you did, it'd be stupid. Just give a quarterback time. And I think that would be the equivalent of getting another weapon. Because if a quarterback has time, a receiver is going to get open, Ken.
Yeah. No, I thought you brought up a lot of good points there. Devontae Adams, I mean, obviously it's a big pipe dream. It'd be awesome. It's been talked about for many years. Not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'd love to see it happen. I don't care what they pay him. Shit, that's wins right there. I don't really care. One thing I do want to throw out there. You mentioned about the first round pick there. I'd love to see the Raiders kind of do what the Rams do and just get rid of these first rounders. They suck at, they really do suck at picking them. And I don't know, maybe Ziegler and what's his face can do something better, but I'd rather just get a proven talent.
Yep.
I really would. I would not be the way it's. You just mentioned it. 7 first round picks that are probably not going to make the roster, other than Jacobs, maybe. Why not just throw some package deal and get a proven player? Whether that's a defensive tackle, whether it's a wide receiver, whatever it is. I would be okay with that just to start out, because the Raider Nation is hungry. We got the playoffs. We had a winning record. We need a playoff win. and we need to make it into the AFC Championship game, and we're close. I really do feel like we're closer than most people think, even with Derek Carr at the quarterback there.
Yep.
But
I agree.
and Nelson Aguilar, you know what? Gruden's gone. You know what? Maybe he does come back. That wouldn't be
He was
horrible.
a really good deep weapon for Derek that year.
Yeah,
So yeah, that makes sense.
they like each other.
I
Yeah.
did want to go ahead, Sean. I want to talk
No,
about defensive coordinators when you're done.
Yeah, so that makes sense because Ruggs had that horrific accident. We were looking at Deshaun Jackson, Odell Beckham, Jr., whatever, and we got D-Jax, and now it's like, who's going to be that guy? If you don't want to spend high dollar premium value,
exactly.
Aguilar has that contingency. He can come in. He enjoyed his time with Derek Carr and all those things. I think that's a sensible thing. Yeah, and Aguilar was in that McDaniel's offense. What he's known. So he's been in a huddle with Derek. He's been in a huddle with Mac. I'm sure he's going to side with Derek, and that could be, he already got the bag, right? So it could be a good thing to come to Nevada with low taxes and reunite. But yeah, I think that's a good point, Ken. I think sensible actions there, because Waller missed 7 games. So we're really talking about, getting a full-time Waller back, and Renfro, my God, he was breaking Tim Brown and Jerry Rice records this year. So there's a quick action to just get something downfield, but I think the Aguilar move makes sense. I really do.
I do. I'm trying to look up, as we talk, I'm trying to look up his contract.
And people are like Godwin and Chark, and those guys they're gonna get a lot of money, and there's some bad teams that are gonna throw them way more money than they deserve.
Yeah. Defensive coordinator. I'm gonna throw some names out at you while I look up the Aguilar information. We got Brian Flores. We got Wink Martindale. We got Jared Mayo, and we have let me see. I'll skip that one, and we'll go to Vic Fangio. So I'm going to talk about the guy who I like the most. It would be Vic Fangio. Even with the way the Denver Broncos played offense, and they were horrible offensively last year under Fangio, they were still one of the top defensive teams in the league. I think he's in between blitzing and playing coverage, which I like that mix. I think I think Wink Martindale is a really good coach. And he gets turnovers, and I like all that stuff, but I feel like they're gonna give up a lot of big plays when if you play his style in the AFC West. I feel like a Fangio, his games against the Broncos, that must be the Broncos' last game of the year. The Chiefs' last game of the year. So I like that move a little bit better. But we'll have to see what those two have up their sleeves, Ziegler and McDaniels. Who you guys like for defensive coordinator?
I 100% agree. I think it makes perfect sense to bring Fangio in. He's let go, and he knows the division really well. It's all about Kansas City. Can you beat Kansas City and up and coming the Chargers there? So yeah, I'm all 100% on board with that. I'd love to see Flores come to this organization too, just because. I don't know if he's ever going to coach again, but he kind of put himself up there, which is great. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that, but I would say either one of those two would be great to see. But I really don't know what this organization is going to do with the defensive coordinator. I just know that they have to nail it. They have to nail this pick or this hire, Sean.
Yeah, tough, really tough. I think I'd probably put Flores as number 1, but I just don't think. I think it's hard for a team that everything the Raiders went through last year to bring in something that could potentially be right. You have lawsuits out against the league that you're playing in, and coaches and other colleagues, and it creates something that albeit he might be a great hire for us. I think that becomes problematic, unfortunately. But yeah, I would love to see Flores, because I think he brings. I think sometimes people talk about life. When you hire somebody, you want to hire somebody that can take your job, because you're doing the best thing for that organization or that whatever you represent, right? Whatever you work for, you hire someone knowing one day you can take my job. That's how good you are. I want you under me. I think Flores is that. I think he's a guy that absolutely is credentialed to have a head coaching position in the NFL. and come in during this pending time. And but you wonder how much time he's got legal and lawsuits, and then we need him to. So I don't know. That makes it difficult. But I would love to have Flores. Fangio makes a lot of sense. We know he was candid about the reason he wasn't able to compete in the AFC
Yes,
West.
he's pretty clear about it.
He did not have a quarterback, and
Yep.
he specified that the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders have a grade A type quarterback. So I think that's telling. He brings something in that what you said, Dwayne. It makes a lot of sense. Like Gus did it. We have to say he did a good job bearing the circumstances, what they gave him, who he had to work with, the injuries, everything.
I hear a lot of injuries too. Yeah, he did a good job.
But Gus, I mean, the red zone, we were just touchdowns. There's no, he did not want an extra person to be close to the line of scrimmage. I mean, he did not want. It's just frustrating. Like, I don't think he can open the bag. If you're talking about a Josh McDaniels and how many times he may have faced Gus Bradley, he's probably like, oh, I know what this guy does. It's base coverage. I'm going to eat all day on 3rd and 8 because I know exactly what he's doing. He's not bringing extra bodies at me. I can shift. I think the chess match thing, that's where Gus is gone. He elementary, good fundamental football. He'll bring that to fruition, but that's not going to get you the best players and develop things. I just want someone who's like, I can play multiple looks. It's 3rd down. I'm going to show you 3 and 4. It's 2nd and you're a running team. I'm going to stack the box. Like, Gus was just so vanilla. It just never worked out. So I'm going to say Flores, even though it won't happen, but Fangio could gain steam.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. Nelson Aguilar is 29 years old. Base salary will be 9.9 million. Oof. Signing bonus will be 5 million. Roster bonus is almost 900,000. His cap hit would be 14. Cap hit is 14.8, and then $10 million in dead cap. So if he was traded, so it looks like that might be a tough one. I would say like, like I said, you can always look for those couple of prove it deals for a DJ Chalk or some other receivers who are free agents this year. So you can look at that. I don't want to go big. They don't need to go big with wide receiver. I mean, I know people are just like, it's not Madden. Build yourself. Look at the teams who are around in football right now in the playoffs, and they are, with exception of Cincinnati, they're good on the offensive line and they're good on defensive line, and that's how I want as many pass rushing options as humanly possible. That helps you a lot when you have to defend against some of these passing teams in the AFC West. Okay, go ahead.
No, good. I agree. Yeah, I mean, the trenches you build out rather than building in.
Exactly.
Right? You can have the fanciest weapons on the outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of, Cincinnati is a strange circumstance because Burrow is a mobile quarterback. He's big, he's tough. They were able to get him Jamar Chase. They wouldn't have made the playoffs without Jamar Chase. They could have the best right. They could have the best right tackle in football.
That's true.
And maybe not. So it depends on what you have. But I think this organization, if you have a car, I think, and that's who you're going with, I think you absolutely have to understand that if you want Derek to get, he's great at the quick throws, but if you want him to develop the downfield strikes, which he can throw at times, you need to provide that offensive line to get a run game and to develop play action and to let Carr feel safe in the pocket.
Yeah, and just real quick news: the Raiders have signed Champ Kelly as their assistant GM, and they've relieved
that's right. Yep.
And they relieved Greg Olson of his duties as offensive coordinator.
As they should have.
Good.
Third down, red zone, you got to go.
God.
What was I gonna say? Last thing, any last things? And that's the last things you want to say about this whole situation here with the Raiders. I mean, I'm kind of just anxious to see how this free agency and all this stuff like that goes. Offseason, everything's going to be interesting to see what they do as far as that goes. But any final thoughts with that? And before we'll talk a little bit about the Brian Flores thing, and then we'll go.
Well, with the Champ signing, I think I read somewhere that they were interviewing him for the GM position, so that's good. I mean, it sounds like they're building.
And he knows Ziegler and McDaniels very well too. So
I think it's good. There's continuity there. The biggest loss we're gonna have is Lee Mayock. Yeah,
Lay? Is
but
it Lay or Lee?
yeah,
But
there,
yeah.
Lee.
I don't know what it
Yeah,
was.
she was fun, but no, I think just to go with the Flores thing, I I don't know if it's been put out there yet exactly what was said and what was done. I do think that this this league is ran by just old white guys that have a different mindset, and they're not like moving forward with the times. And I think that anybody that takes or that gives an offer to lose, that's crazy. That is like wild. I couldn't believe I read that. Then you got Hugh Jackson coming out and saying that. And
Marvin Lewis also came out and said something about sham interviews.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I was talking to my friend Kevin, who is an African American, and it's like I'll never know what it's like to walk in a black man's shoes. I won't. I'm a minority, but when you're in a position, where you're running a team, but it's your boss has an old mindset or whatever, we just can't move forward as a society. And it's shameful. It's embarrassing. And I am happy that Flores did speak out on it. And he took the Dolphins to the Dolphins have sucked for a long time. And he did some great things there. And then they fire him. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah,
they should listen to him and draft Herbert.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's crazy, and it's about time. And I think it's pretty cool, and it's brave to come out there and put your career on the line just to out these people. Yeah. But it's we'll see what happens. A lot's going to shake down, and a lot of people are going to go down. I think the Raiders might be one of them that might get in trouble for this too. I really do. I don't know, if they give them equal opportunity for interview or whatever, but I think a lot's going to happen. But it needs to happen. I think we need to move forward.
Yeah, it's hard. I think for Champ Kelly's situation, I think that's very encouraging. He's also a black man, and he is in a position where it sounded like they may have not been able to acquire his services had they given him this specific title. So they put someone in power with strong organizational pulls. I think that's great. I do think, to talk about the Flores situation, it's just disheartening because if you want to hire someone, hire whoever you want. I'm not worried about that. It's not the hiring action side. It's more the deceit behind these organizational curtains where it's like, how are you in a position? I mean, Stephen Ross in Miami, I'm just gonna say he's fucked. I'm just saying that because if there's written proof of him throwing games, I mean, you're talking about legality and gambling sports books I mean, you're just peeling back the curtains of I mean, there's no way. I mean, I've seen worse happen in our country, but I'm just saying
the fans, we're suffering from this.
Imagine being a season ticket holder attending games you think are in goodwill of credit of trying to win, and then knowing the owner of that team did not care. Yes, we all understand. We say tanking, right? We understand that, right? There are it's look at what the Lions did this year. They worked themselves out of the number 1 overall pick, right? But I just have a hard time with it. I just really wish there would be more just transparency overall. I mean, the Rooney Rule is in place for a reason, but I think people need to just understand. And alarming, and I feel like it needed to happen. And I know there's like memes that say it's funny, like Flores, like it's Black History Month, right? So they're like, he was like, I'm dropping it now. Like,
dropping it on the first, yeah, exactly.
How's the NFL gonna, know what I mean? Like portray themselves. I mean, they're in hot water, and these owners and these people are billionaires, so that they do things on a privileged standpoint that is unprecedented. So it's gonna be in the media all off
Yeah.
season. It's going to be a lot, so prepare for it. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, it's really a situation where I think the best commissioner, and I do believe that it was true that people were trying to get Adam Silver to become the commissioner of the National Football League, because if this happened, it would be he would not be the owner of the team anymore. Darryl Sterling tape came out, and look how quickly he was gone. This league is kind of an old man league, and they don't want to let go. I think if you have a chance to get the I don't know if it's called the legal document that the lawyers and Brian Flores put together. Just I would just say this: if you're an iPhone user, just highlight the entire article and then just and wait for like the little prompt to come up. There'll be an arrow on the right, and it'll say "speak," and Siri will read it to you instead of you having to read it. It's just like you can just drive and just have it read to you. It actually works. It works great. Whenever anything like that, I can have it read to me instead of, because I don't have time to sit down and read sometimes. But there's really a dark history about the NFL and race, and it really is. It's not a good one. And I do think that this part of it is to go through all this trouble. I mean, and it just seems like, and it also, it doesn't surprise me that Belichick's name is in it as well. It was always somebody. It's always Belichick is in every controversy in the National Football League. It's kind of funny. But I do think Stephen Ross
and the owner, Kraft.
and the owner, Kraft. Yeah, I think, and imagine being amped to go to an interview for your job, and the guys who come in are wasted, like he alleged the Denver Broncos, John Elway and the Denver Broncos were. So it's it's not a good situation. It should be, and I wish that we didn't have to even have a quote unquote Rooney Rule. The issue with it is, they're just not going to hire anybody. If you won't get an interview if that's the case. Right now, currently, the jobs that have been filled have been Matt Eberflus with the Bears, who do have African American GM. The Broncos with Nathaniel Hackett, Brian Daboll, who was that's who Bill thought he was texting. The Raiders with Josh McDaniels, and then Kevin O'Connell, who was the offensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator or the quarterbacks coach for the Rams. That McVay tree is there, and then the four remaining jobs are the Dolphins, the Jaguars, who are refusing because Trent Baalke doesn't want to leave his job. He's trying to hire somebody who's not on his team, and the Saints and then the Texans as well. So we'll see what happens there as far as that goes. Obviously, if somebody gets fired, the job is not going to be perfect. So we'll see what happens there. But the NFL has a lot to do, lot to kind of, and his lawyers did say one thing, that they put a statement out so quickly, and he was like, they did more investigation of deflated footballs than they did into what we sent them. So that's like a really, it's kind of interesting kind of history comment as far as that goes.
I think we understand. This is how I look at it. John Gruden was fired, essentially, right?
Yes.
He had comments, derogatory type, racial type comments, whatever. He did that. So how do you get rid of Gruden in the middle of a season?
Yes.
Which was conspired by the NFL. Mark Davis does not accept full responsibility for how that happened. You cannot have that happen and then say, Stephen Ross, we're going to fine you $120,000 and take away a 5th rounder. Like you like this needs, like there needs to be a consistency there, because that's where I struggle with this. It's like, Deshaun Watson is excluded from football for that. Robert Kraft goes and gets a BJ at a massage parlor in Florida. That's human trafficking, suspected minors.
Exactly.
And he's fine. He's good. So, okay, we'll take away a couple picks. Yes, God bless. So it's the NFL. I agree. They just don't handle this correctly. So I mean, what happens? Like I don't know, man. I'm just disgusted by it. I just think, hopefully it perpetuates a movement of better things and accountability in how the NFL does this. But
the biggest thing I always said is that, organizations don't. I think if I was the Dolphins, I'd be like, you really, like, some of the organizations don't care about winning. And I think the thing about that in this thing they had, and then in the legal form that they put out, They talked about
Affidavit.
how affidavit. Sorry, I couldn't remember. Thank you. It was called. I'm not. I didn't watch Law and Order, so I don't know. But it talked about how while African Americans like make up such a small portion of the coaches, but how they get fired so quickly, even after winning seasons, like Jim Caldwell.
Caldwell.
I mean, like, hey, why to talk about like him? How come he doesn't have a job yet? You know what I mean? Like he single-handedly changed the Ravens and Joe Flacco's whole situation when he took over at mid-season to be the offensive coordinator and then win the Super Bowl. So we can go on and on about that. But that's it. Well, so we're just hoping that the two men behind me, and for those who are listening on the podcast, it's McDaniels and Ziegler, that they do their jobs. We'll be watching that carefully, and we'll be coming to you and as often as we can come together and talk about the Raiders as far as that on the Cover 3D Raider podcast. Sean, you have anything, and Ken, you have anything before we go?
No, I'm good. Be safe. Take care of your loved ones.
No question.
Yeah, enjoy this. And before we go, Super Bowl picks, man. Who do you guys like? You know, I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't gonna watch Super Bowl if the Chiefs were in it. I was not gonna watch it.
You're lying. You would have watched.
The Bills should have beat him. The Bills should have beat him. I feel bad for Josh Allen. I feel bad for Josh Allen. He played a great game.
I like both teams. I'm excited. I like Cooper Kupp a lot. I like
how do you not?
170
catches in one season.
Joe Burrow, Chase is freaking going to be the next superstar.
I like the Rams in the game. I think it's a close game, but the Rams will find a way to win.
Odell Beckham, redemption for Odell Beckham.
I like Whitworth. Is it Whitworth?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He's like 40 years old.
And he's left tackle. 6'8" giant. I mean, he's out there. Get that man a ring.
Yeah,
exactly. I gotta go Bengals, man. I gotta go with the underdog there. I think they're the underdog. You playing it. You know what? Something to think about. I'll leave you guys on this.
Yeah.
The last two Super Bowls were played with the home team in it. The Raiders, the Vegas. I believe it's next year, right?
Yeah.
So
that's
let's keep
true.
that streak alive, baby.
That's
win, baby.
true. And Joey Burrow is 6-0 when he's over a 3-point underdog or something this season. So there's a lot of little weird things like that. Yeah.
Let's go Joey Burrow.
He would be the only ever in the history of football on this earth win the Heisman, the national championship, and a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you're talking about he'd do that within 2 years? Like that is insane for a guy that transferred out of Ohio State because they wouldn't start him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say he's gonna smoke that stogie. He'll be smoking that stogie if he wins
in his home state. Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, should be fun. Should be a fun Super Bowl. Somebody tweeted the other day at NFL. What if I just come for the halftime show? The halftime show is going to be lit. So they're like, can I just come for the halftime show and leave? It's going to be fire. It's going to bring all of us back to our back in the days.
I was about to say it's age appropriate for us.
Yeah, and it's West Coast appropriate as well too. With all those artists of course, but we'll bring Eminem and Mary J. Blige in there too because they're icons in their own right. All right, Cover 3D Raider podcast. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.